Alrighty, so the question that we had this week was, how do you see gender roles and socialization occurring in our society? And I think there's a lot of very apparent examples that we can look at. Let's touch on socialization first, seeing as gender roles really play into that. So the book describes socialization as the ways in which a society conveys the individual its norms and expectations for their behaviors. And in this case, we're really talking about like gender roles and gender stereotypes and what people are expected to do because of how other people view them. One of the biggest ways that you can look, one of the biggest contributors to socialization, especially nowadays, seeing as we're all connected and there's so many different forms of communication, is in media. So there is a 2008 study, and this is from the book too, done that said that 71% of voiceovers in ads on major airing networks were male. And in those ads, men were more likely to be seen as employed and assertive, striving for their goals and getting what they want, and women were more likely to be seen as either sex objects, or as parents or mothers. And the issue with this kind of mentality going into advertisements is that it does play into this assertive gender role mentality that we've had in our country for generations. But also the reason why people keep doing it is because it works. And it keeps on playing on this baseline of gender roles in order to sell products. Going into how we can see gender roles in our society, according to the book, men are more likely to not be able or be comfortable with showing their emotions. In chapter 11, there was a section called A Sexually Diverse World. And in that section, it talked about different myths that were addressed in the book on male sexuality. The second myth they talked about was the fact that a real man isn't into sissy stuff like feelings or communicating. And I can speak personally on this. As a young child, I was often told to suck it up or to man up. I think those are common phrases that people can say, or people can say that they've experienced growing up as a male. And I think a lot of this comes from the mentality that men are supposed to be providers. We're supposed to be the heads of the family. We're supposed to be in control all the time. It doesn't seem like people see that emotional intelligence and assertiveness and control can coexist at the same time, especially with how our country has been projecting that image of what a man is. And then women are often seen as submissive, they're seen as proper, and their main roles through stereotypes, or these gender role stereotypes, are either to be sex objects for men's pleasure or to raise children and run the family while the man is away doing work and providing for the family. And obviously this isn't true. Obviously these are broad assumptions and broad gender stereotypes, but they do tend to play out. I know growing up, I live in Mesa, Arizona. I have since I was a kid. And I remember growing up in this relatively conservative part of Phoenix, that the majority of my friends were raised by their moms. 99% of them were raised by their moms while their dads were away at jobs, paying the bills and feeding the family and everything like that. And so that's not to say that all gender roles and all gender stereotypes are bad inherently. But they do cause issues when they play into ideas like men not being able to express themselves properly, or women being more of a secondary human being to what a man is. Anywho, those are my thoughts on it. I'm really excited to hear what you all have to say about my thoughts on this week's assignment, and I'm looking forward to reading yours and listening to yours too.